Your landlord is using your rent money to pay off his mortgage. And there is a legal strategy that flips that completely, where other people pay your mortgage instead, while you live for free. It is called house hacking. And in 2026, it is one of the most powerful moves a regular person can make in real estate. Here's exactly how it works. You buy a duplex, or a small multi-unit property. You live in one unit. You rent out the others. The rent your tenants pay covers your mortgage. That is the whole idea. You stop paying someone else's mortgage and you get someone else to pay yours every single month while you build equity in a property you actually own. Now I know the first question in your head right now. How am I supposed to buy anything when rent is already eating most of my paycheck? That is exactly the right question. And the answer is the part most people never find out about. There is a loan program called the Federal Housing Administration Loan. It has existed for decades, and it allows you to buy a property with as little as 3.5% down. On a $250,000 property, that is $8,750. And here is the critical part. This loan program allows you to buy multi-unit properties, duplexes, triplexes, small 4-unit buildings, as long as you live in one of the units. That is the loophole. That is the door most people walk right past without ever knowing it was open. You buy the building, you live in one unit, your tenants cover the mortgage, and you are in the game. Let me make this concrete with real numbers. Say you buy a duplex for $280,000. Your mortgage with taxes and insurance comes out to around $1,800 a month. The unit next to you rents for $1,200 a month. Completely normal in most cities right now. Your actual out-of-pocket housing cost is $600 a month. $600 for a home you own. Building equity every single month. That is less than most people pay for a one-bedroom apartment they will never see a return on. And that is a conservative example. In stronger rental markets, a lot of people bring their housing costs down to zero. Some properties actually pay you cash on top of covering the mortgage. Instead of $1,500 or $2,000 a month disappearing forever, that money is now working for you, building your net worth every single month. That is not a small shift. That is a completely different financial life. Now I want to talk about the concerns sitting in the back of your mind. You are thinking, I do not want to be a landlord. I do not want to chase late rent. I do not want to call at 2 in the morning because something broke. I hear that. Those things do happen. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But compare that honestly to the alternative. The alternative is you keep paying rent. Month after month, year after year. Building zero equity. Owning nothing. Every year rent goes up, saving gets harder, and the window feels like it is closing. The challenges of having a tenant next door are real, but they are learnable. They are manageable. There are property managers you can hire and systems you can put in place. Paying rent for the rest of your life has no solution. No system fixes it. When you look at it that way, the comparison is not even close. Here's the piece of this strategy that changes everything. You only have to live there for 1 year. 1 year. The Federal Housing Administration loan requires you to occupy the property as your primary residence for 12 months. After that, you can move out completely. Rent your unit out too. Now the entire property is generating income while you go find your next deal and do it again. This is exactly how people go from 0 properties to 5 properties in just a few years. Not because they are wealthy, not because they had a head start, because they used this strategy once, lived there for 1 year, then repeated it. One deal, 1 year, then repeat. And here's what most people miss on top of that. Your property is also going up in value the entire time. Real estate in the United States has appreciated at an average of around 4% per year over the long term. On a $250,000 property, that is $10,000 in added value per year on average, just for owning it. So while your tenants cover your mortgage and your housing costs drop to near zero, the property is quietly growing in value in the background. Lower housing costs, equity building through mortgage paydown, and appreciation on top of that. That is how regular people build serious wealth, not through one big windfall, through stacking small advantages that compound over time. Here's what I want you to actually do today. Look up Federal Housing Administration loan requirements in your state. Search duplexes and small multi-unit properties in your area. Check what those units are renting for right now, then run the numbers. Mortgage versus rental income. See what your real out-of-pocket cost would look like. Most people who go through this exercise for the first time are genuinely surprised. The gap between where they are and owning a property that pays for itself is almost always smaller than they imagined. The barrier is almost never money. Most of the time, it is just not knowing this was possible. You know now. Every week on this channel, I break down the plays your landlord already knows, the ones the banks are not advertising, and the ones that are working right now for people who started with nothing but the right information. Subscribe so you do not miss what is coming next. Because next week, I'm going to show you exactly what to do after you get your first property. And that is where things really start to get interesting.